Hello, this is journal number 6. I am at a cafe, so there might be some like background noise. Just trying to, find different environments to do my work in. Um, so this journal entry is on the reading by Richard Schwartz called No Bad Parts. And I kind of just want to like scroll through this reading and touch on like a couple different things that I noted. The first thing was just like on the first page where it speaks about this difference between like those who really like demonize the body and the in between of that spectrum to like people who view their body as a sacred temple, and due to that they attend to their body in a different way naturally. And I really resonate with this side of the spectrum, and I think that like so much of how my pathway is expressed is so much of like my desire, I guess, on my pathway is to be a vessel for God, and realizing that like that has so much to do with my body. When I went and sat in a darkness retreat for 4 nights, there was so like it's such a somatic experience. It's so like really seeing the wisdom and the power of my body is like that's something that I really got out of it. And also like the difference between like understanding something and like knowing something, like actually like embodying the wisdom of it. And so there was a lot of this like experience of embodying wisdom of things that before were just in my mind, were just an understanding. It's like something really integrated as I was able to really be present with my internal world. And but like there was the voice of my body, like I was able to like hear it so clearly, and because there was like no other distractions, and some of the messages that I got like so strongly, like the wisdom, the knowing in my body, like one was like how important yoga is and like how purifying it truly is, and how it really does like prepare the body in such a way. And it's like to like be a vessel for love for God, like some of those like I guess like frequencies that you could be like embodying of an expression of God, it can be a lot for the body to hold. This is like what I'm speaking like from my experience in the darkness. There was a specific experience that I had that it was like this experience of being a vessel, and like what my body was containing was like so powerful. And I realized like if my body wasn't as purified as it is, and like as spacious and as soft, because there was like such a softening that happened in the darkness, that like I wouldn't have been able to like contain that experience within my body. And so like every day, like I've never done like regular yoga, but like in the darkness, like it was like I had to do yoga right away when I woke up. Like it felt so important. And also like just like realizing like my body's relationship with food much more when like a whole sense of yours is completely gone. I just wanted to like speak on that a little bit, and just like really resonating with that, and how through really valuing my body as a temple, it has like naturally influenced me to eat healthier, to move more. And also like I'll note that there's parts that I would label as like shame and guilt, that and like the inner critic that come up when I'm not active enough, or like when I'm not doing enough yoga, and not, you know, when it's not like this optimal what my body knows what would be best, but like there's a reality of like, especially right now, like being a college student, having all these things to do, like learning how to manage my time and like fit those things in. So yeah, just like acknowledging also that those are parts. One thing that I really loved about this was reading the dialogue between TJ and D, I think is maybe it's Dave. But yeah, just the dialogue of the therapy session. And yeah, I got so much out of that, and also the practice at the bottom. Here, let me go down. I'll go back to that. Yeah, TJ and D. Yeah, just kind of like seeing a framework of like how to really work with these parts, and how to work with like the parts that get in the way of you really addressing like this deeper part, that like there's so many protectors, and like and the fact that it's like connected to like like pain, and like something that our minds can so easily, and could just be the reality of like what sorry, getting a little distracted. Yeah, like connecting pain to these parts, like maybe there's something psychological happening. And yeah, I've had like a history of chronic pain and illness, and so I really appreciated that perspective. And then at the bottom, when it like really guides you through the body meditation exercise, and if you happen to watch video journal entry 5, where I was speaking a bit on my experience of bodilessness and the menstrual cycle and cramps, and I like kind of went in quite a bit around like my relationship to cramps right now, like where my body is speaking to me in a very intense like the day 1 and 2 of my cycle this month. My cramps were like so intense, like more than they've been in a really long time. And I feel like my body I was like speaking about how like this pain could like, you know, is like a voice of our body, and how I feel like it's asking me to like slow down, and like it's like kind of upset. It's like, what the fuck, dude? Like, this isn't like rhythmic to me, like come on. And so that's what I did the body meditation on, is because like even beyond the like day 1 and 2 like really intense cramps throughout my whole cycle, last cycle, I my ovaries were like in pain, and like my womb was very tender the entire month. And also like today I'm on like day 8, and like still like my womb is like very tender. And so it's just like I'm kind of like carrying this pain, or like that maybe a part of me, or like definitely my womb, and like also my lower back is like carrying this pain. So I'm like, okay, like is there something here? Is it like, what is this voice? So I use this exercise to really explore that, and I kind of like took some notes too, you know, so like dropping into it, seeing how I feel towards it. I noticed like how I felt towards it was very like compassionate, and almost like feeling bad, like, oh, like that's unfortunate, kind of. And then yeah, like, so I wrote here, my womb and lower back first complain, like when I began to like listen and to like, okay, like what do you have to say? It was like kind of complaining, like whining, and like a toddler, and it's like, you know, saying that it hasn't gotten enough rest, that there's like an imbalance in my rhythm, and there's kind of this like poutiness to it, because it's been like it's had this privilege of like living in a very like cyclical rhythm for so many years, where like now like that's kind of getting thrown all over the place. So it's like this like voice that I was tuning into was very like pouty, very whiny, like I miss my toys, like I miss my spaciousness, I don't want to be a college student, like that kind of thing. And I think like really what it's trying to tell me is like its concern about the shift from like living so like in such a cyclical rhythm to now like my rhythm is kind of all over the place. Like it doesn't even have routine. Like I'm still very much so just like adjusting and finding that out, and I'm sure like so many of these journals there's going to be like pieces of like that reality in my life because it's something so present. So then when I asked it like what it's afraid would happen if it didn't do this to my body, it responded that it feels like I would get sick, or like, you know, I would just go so like out of balance and be in so much pain, and like it's like the more that I ignore it, the like worse the state of my body. It's like really trying to get me to like do something about it. And then asking why do you feel like you have to use my body, which I feel like those questions like were a little bit different. Yeah, like why do you feel like you have to use my body? What I heard was because your womb is important and your children like live there basically, and it's like this importance of like what my womb is like, how that plays a role in my life and my dreams of wanting to be a mother, of, you know, I feel like my relationship to my womb in general is just like so important. And so it's like, so to that question of like why do you feel like you have to use my body, it's like so that you like remember how important it is that you take care of this. And but then I asked the question, why does it feel like you feel like, why doesn't it feel like you can talk, like it can talk to me directly? And its response was that I need to know where in my body that not living in a cyclical rhythm is most impacting me. So it's like this like voice, this protector that's like communicating through my body, very much so is like also trying to point out like, hey, this is really important, like your womb is very important, I know this is something that we both value, and like I'm gonna speak to you through this to really like get your attention because it's like that important. And yeah, I feel like I could do more work with this part of like, okay, but is there a way, like, is there things that I can give you my word on, that I'm gonna work on, that are going to, where you'll be willing to like not absolutely scream and debilitate me on the first 2 days of my bleed, and like and I thought I like wrote this down somewhere, but I guess I didn't. But like, you know, when I ask like what is like, what would your need be for you to like not speak through my body in such an intense way? I swear I wrote this down somewhere. Yeah, I don't know. And it said it said that I needed to slow down. Oh, it's right here. Slow down and listen. Wait, what does it say? What do you need from me? It's right here. Jeez. What do you need from me to not have to do this to my body? And it said slow down and listen more to your body, deeper and more often. So basically, like, I'm receiving this information that I'm not listening to my body enough, I'm not listening to my body deep enough, and like, yeah, like I can totally agree with that. I can totally validate and see that, like this, just like, yeah, the amount of like spaciousness and time that I feel that I have is very not what I used to have, and like I'm like moving at such a quicker pace, and there's so much more doing, you know, like there was so much being that I had the privilege of basking in my past recent years, where now there's a lot of doing. I think that it's really serving me, but there's this edge of where I'm learning, okay, how can I bring this cyclical rhythm into this new rhythm altogether? How can I weave these two? How can I move at a faster pace, but not allow that to compromise my interoception, my being in my body, really listening to what it's saying? And I think also, and I kind of touched base on this in the journal entry number 5, but about how it's like I've made these commitments, like I'm committed to this investment to myself of like being a college student, and really moving through these classes with integrity to really integrate them into my life. But like there are things that I sometimes feel I need to compromise to really show up in integrity for these commitments. And I'm still learning this balance, but especially at first, like the beginning of the semester, and we're about like halfway through the semester now, and I feel like I'm beginning to get a more of a grasp on it. But I feel like they're out of like all the things, it's like I very much so was ignoring what my body was wanting me to do, because I'm like, no, like I really want to do the homework right now, or like, no, like, you know, I've been doing homework for days and I just want to hang out with someone. I know that you're exhausted, but like, come on, we can drive all the way down to Santa Fe for 2 days and come back at 3 a.m. in the morning to make our Monday class. Like, ridiculous. And like, but like this is where my priorities were. So I wasn't like prioritizing what my body was like, oh, but I want rest, I want comfort. And yeah, where now, especially after this last bleed that I had, and really receiving this message from my womb and from my body, I'm realizing I'm like completely like swapping around what my priorities are. I'm like, okay, obviously, like I'm a student and this is such a huge priority of mine. Like I really want to show up for my classes. But also, like, I've been hanging out with friends and like making connections like a lot, to the point where I'm compromising the rest. So I'm like, okay, so maybe stick with how much I'm investing into school, because that's actually necessary, but the free time that I do have, maybe spend more of that resting and less of it hanging out with people when my body is feeling tired. Like choose to tend to the tiredness more often than I have been. Yeah, so that's that. I really appreciated this reading. I really appreciated that meditation, and I'm like really interested of like doing this. Yeah, like kind of diving into internal family systems these past couple weeks. I think I'm gonna get an internal family system therapist. Like I just really resonate with this form, and I would love to be able to dive deep into it. Dive deeper into it in like a therapeutic setting and see like what transformation can happen, like with the constellations work that we did the other class, this last class. Because I like directed my parts, and it's like I didn't actually know how to conclude the skit, you know, and it just made me realize, like, okay, there's a certain way to work with these parts where we can really like receive healing or a deeper understanding, and I didn't really know how to fully conduct that. So yeah, I feel like it feels really resonant. So I'm really grateful that we're going over this, and that's like something that I am probably going to do. Is get a therapist. Okay, so then I just want to like say something on this last part. I kind of like highlighted other parts, but I'll just kind of speak on this part a little bit. I'll read this paragraph. It says, in other words, when you refuse to listen, you can turn your parts into inner terrorists, and they will destroy your body if necessary. Unfortunately, our medical system, in much the same way as a repressive political system, too often is designed to kill the messenger rather than help us get the message. Yeah, that last sentence is very... It's getting loud, I'm sorry. Yeah, that last the last sentence is definitely like very unfortunate, and but one thing that I want to know about this is in the military, I got really sick. And it's happened a couple times in my life. I like drop under my BMI. I'm like under 100 pounds. I can barely eat. Like mentally, and the first time this like manifested in my life was in the military, and I felt very like not aligned with what I was doing in my life, my job, my morals. I had this complete like death, and then woke up and was like, what the actual fuck am I doing? And so I think that like there was very strong parts that all of a sudden like woke up in me and was like, this is not okay. Like, look what you're doing, look what you were contributing to. Like, you do not believe in this, or I do not believe in this. Like, I do not want you to be a part of like a contribution to war, to death, to this like, it wasn't for me. This part that like woke up wasn't perceiving of like, you're a part of protecting the country. It's like, you're a part of killing innocent children, basically. And like so it felt very disharmonious, and all of a sudden it seemed overnight my body got so sick. But it was like, how much can I listen? I was property of the government, like I couldn't just quit my job. I felt like I was kind of trapped in this system. And so where it says like, when you refuse to listen, you can turn these parts into your inner terrorist, and they destroy your body if necessary. I felt like my body was destroyed at the end of my experience in the military. Like, I had so many issues. I was constantly at the hospital. They were putting me on so many medications to numb the voice even more. And like, I won't, go like too deep into it, but like, I got really sick, and it's happened outside of the military too. And one thing that I feel I would love to do therapy on, and I know this isn't like personal, not intimate, so I'll just like state this and leave it here, but I would love to do work on I would just love to do deeper work on these parts that make my body really sick in certain circumstances, because now it's to the point where there's this fear. Like, it's also happened in relation. It was like the environment. There was like one where the environment was the military. The next time that it happened, it was the environment was a relationship that I was in. So now, being in relationship, there's this huge fear that is like fucking terrified of this happening again, because like what my body goes through when this happens is like this part like puts my body through hell. And like so like there's another part that's like absolutely terrified to go through this like physical hell again. And it's like relating, it's like stuck in the scene of a relationship, of an argument. So anytime there's any kind of tension, it's like, oh no, I'm gonna go under my BMI and become really sick and mentally ill and all of these things. And it's a really strong part that's like really been showing up in my relationship. So I would love to do therapy on that. Yeah, I think that's all for this journal entry. Yeah, I super loved this one, and yeah, I'm really enjoying this class. I feel really grateful for this class, and like all the readings, everything I feel like so engaged with. And I love like, yeah, there's so out of like all of, I won't say out of all of the classes, but I will say, because like I think each one like expresses itself in a different way, but there's so much of that contemplative education that I'm experiencing within this class, because there's so much to directly immediately integrate into my reality, because it's all like in my body, it's already right here, and it's actually the tool that brings me here. And so yeah, I'm really appreciating this, and I feel like this is something that's like, yeah, just is like something that is helping me, healing me, deepening my understanding in a way that it's like influencing me for the rest of my life. Like these are things I'm gonna like carry with me as tools, as resources. And yeah, I really appreciate that. So yeah, I am really hoping that the noise isn't too loud, but I'm gonna go back and just make sure before I post this. Yeah, hope that you have a beautiful day.